UFC 309, New York City, Madison Square Garden. Let's get it on, ladies and gentlemen. This video is brought to you via the Doctrine of Fair Use to Fair Dealing and the Digital Millennium Act. In my personal opinion, as a former amateur boxer, one of the best punching heavyweights of all time, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. He was a Golden Gloves champion. The boy's got hands, right? The man's got hands, taking on arguably, arguably, taking on the greatest MMA fighter, UFC fighter, the greatest of all time, Jon Jones. Listen, ladies and gentlemen, there's no arguably. He is the greatest of all time. This guy's been doing it for a very long time. Now, Stipe coming into this fight, 8-2 in heavyweight championship fights, right? A very good win percentage. Of course, his last heavyweight loss came to Francis Ngannou by knockout, but the first time they fought, Stipe controlled Francis, destroyed him on the ground. And when it comes to the ground game, I think Stipe's takedown defense needs work, but his ground game is decent for heavyweight. But we all know he wants to keep the fight standing up because of his boxing background. But Jon Jones, he comes into the ring focused, that Bruce Lee aura, right? His mental awareness unlike no other. And although Stipe's 8-2 in championship fights coming into this matchup, Bones has not lost a heavyweight championship fight in 13 years. In fact, he's never lost one. His last 13 years in the octagon, all of his fights have been title fights. He's 17-0 in title fights. And if you think this is going to be any different, I don't know, ladies and gentlemen, you might be in for a shock, or then again, you probably won't be shocked because this man never loses. Now, at the initial face-off, we see here that there's no difference in height, really. There's no difference in weight. A lot of people thought Stipe would come into this fight the bigger man, but the reality here is if you're fighting at light heavyweight, and for those of you that aren't familiar with cutting weight, any weight division these fighters fight at, they're cutting weight. Now, Daniel Cormier, who's familiar with Jon Jones, by the way, calling this match octagon side, he talked about him cutting weight a lot of times being anywhere from 25 to 30 pounds or more, right? So if you're fighting at light heavyweight, essentially you're walking around at heavyweight to begin with, okay? So in terms of weight difference, no, you can see right there how the men stack up. This is going to be pretty even. And of course, just taking a look at Bones, he fought Gain last time, Bonjour Kopitalivu, who is huge. He's a beast, So the reality here is any UFC fighter that's fighting in whatever weight division, even if you're fighting at heavyweight, you do have to get in shape and essentially cut weight, unless you're Derek Lewis, by the way. No, that's not a shot at Derek Lewis, but yes, exactly. So not concerned about the weight difference. And in the first round, Bones came out, and I'm going to tell you about Jon Jones. Listen, guys. This guy is one of the best defensive fighters of all time. He's got that Floyd Mayweather IQ in the octagon. I think he fights well coming forward. His leg kicks are amazing, but I think his defense is A+. A lot of fighters have to understand you will extend your career, and this guy is literally undefeated in nearly 2 decades of fighting. 16 years of fighting. He's undefeated. We're not going to talk about that DQ. He's undefeated, ladies and gentlemen. You have to defend. You have to defend. And we all know this is a huge Coco Golf channel. We cover tennis daily. But I say it all the time. Saturdays were made for championship tennis and championship fights. Coco's the best player on the tennis circuit, in my opinion, because of her defense. He's the best defensive player. Bones is the greatest UFC fighter of all time because of his defense. You're not going to damage him. You're not going to rattle him because he knows how to block. He fights well, moving backwards as well. So if you're on the offensive attack, he'll throw in a jab, he'll keep his guard up, and he'll even throw in a leg kick. He'll surprise you with the knee. If he gets you up against the octagon fence, and we saw that in this fight here, he's going to lead with that shoulder and rock you. But his takedown defense is amazing, and his ground game is amazing. In the first round, we saw Bones take down Stipe, and you know what's coming next. He's going to rain down with those elbows, try to open up a cut. He did exactly that. And once Stipe got cut, if you're cut in a big-time championship fight like this, it's going to be detrimental. You get blood running down your eye. It's going to make you lose focus, awareness in the ring. It's going to affect your vision, your sight, and it's going to get worse from there. It's going to take a lot of stamina. Bones had Stipe down, controlled him for a couple minutes, and yes, coming back into the second round, you could see the damage start to pile up there, the cut under the right eye, and again, all UFC fights start the round standing up. This was Stipe's opportunity to, again, go to his amazing hand skills. I think he's got great combinations, but he's not that busy in terms of volume. You know, he'll throw the right cross, come back with maybe a hook to the body, but I just don't think Stipe throws enough punches here. And I think that gave Jon Jones just the opportunity to work and attack with the leg kicks, throw out the jab, come in forward with the knee. And we saw the knee a lot in this fight, but the kicks, guys, the leg kicks and the spinning roundhouse kicks, we're going to get to that in a minute. I just thought that Stipe coming out of retirement, just having not fought in a while, I mean, I just personally thought that. I mean, his last fight was against Francis in March 2021. And several years not fighting, I do think he possibly needed a tune-up fight because, I mean, you look at Bones, even though Bones, his last fight was, over a year ago against Gain. And then before that, Dominic Reyes, that was 3 years with the suspension and all that stuff going on. He's still putting in the work. Donald Trump ringside, octagon side. And we all know Donald Trump. Look, he's a huge fight fan. He's a close friend of Mike Tyson. He's helped out Mike Tyson in the past. And even if you're not familiar with Trump, even going back to the 80s, he's been a good friend of Mike Tyson. When Mike Tyson got into the legal trouble with the rape allegations, Donald Trump publicly defended him. And listen, guys, this country is split. We all know this is a red and blue country. A lot of people are upset. Donald Trump is in office again. He won the popular vote. My personal opinion, I don't vote red or blue. I've had some people here in the channel in the past when I've, covered these fights and Trump has been at these fights and I've mentioned it. They've come at me, listen, guys, I don't vote red or blue. I actually vote Green Party. The reason I vote for the Green Party is the only party that has real issues, real topics on the ballot. We're talking about reparations. For one, this country is not going to prove itself until the people that have been done wrong and still have several laws, thousands of laws on the books that are downright discriminatory. We need to fix that. This country is not going to be the best it can be until we acknowledge that and address that. The Green Party is the only party that has reparations on the table. It's as simple as that. If you are a descendant of slaves in this country, if your bloodline is, you are entitled to reparations. You're entitled to your 40 acres. You're entitled to your reparations. It's as simple as that. That's the first issue we need to fix. We have a lot of modern issues that need to be fixed, like pay disparity. Equal pay is something that needs to be addressed right now. With the CPI being out of control, equal pay for equity, home ownership needs to be affordable. That's on the table. But we need to talk about daycare. If you're a single parent in this country and you have a decent job or even not a decent job, daycare is literally your entire check. That needs to be addressed. There's no reason anyone should have a full-time job in this country and come home struggling with no disposable income. Okay, the Green Party is the only party that addresses real issues. How about free medical care, right? Go to countries like Canada or Turkey. Their health system is just insane, right? Free medical care. You shouldn't be, again, spending all of your disposable income, your check. You shouldn't be going into debt because you can't afford health care. The Green Party is the only party that will address the key issues, right? Fair pay. You're not spending all your money on daycare. You're not spending all your money on health care because it's free. You're not, this takes care of a lot of the issues. It's fair consumer prices. This takes care of all the issues that people deal with. Rent control. The Green Party is the only party that addresses the real issues that will create better life and sustainable life so people aren't living in survival mode. No other party is going to address that. Yes, each party addresses what their party feels will keep them in power. And that may benefit some people, it may not benefit some people. But the reality here is red and blue is not the answer. They both got to go, if you ask me. But we're going to talk a little bit more about Trump later and some of the things he is going to do. Now, going into the third round, Stipe came out with a burst of energy. All right, he kind of flooded out there into the octagon center, and he had a nice rush. He kind of rocked Jon Jones for a minute there, but that was it. I could tell he just didn't have the stamina, and Jon Jones would turn the tide right away. The kicks were starting to come in, and you could see Stipe from that ground and pound from the first round and those elbows. You can see the fatigue. Now, in his corner told him, look, you're letting this fight get away. You're letting him just dictate and control. But what can you do against the greatest of all time? You can't. And here comes the roundhouse kick, ladies and gentlemen, and boom, just caught him in the ribs right there. Look at that. Now, listen, guys, for those of you that never been in a fist fight, when you grow in the inner city, you just grow up fighting. Everyone's tough, and it's just how it is. My first fight where I realized how strong kicks are, yeah, it ended very quickly. And from there, I can tell you guys, watching this fight here, this was very painful and very uncomfortable. Yeah, the guy I fought, yeah, it ended quick, and he couldn't come back. He was down for the count, and right now Stipe is down for the count, ladies and gentlemen. Boom, that roundhouse. He's not getting up. He's probably got a broken rib. For sure. I mean, the kicks of Jon Jones, whether it's the leg kicks, setting up that, just weakening your legs, weakening your ability to defend and attack, and eventually just you're a sitting duck there. And we saw that for the entire fight there. Now, Bones would go over, do the Trump dance, congratulate Trump. We all know Trump's a huge fight supporter. Some of the things Trump is vowing to do, he says that, and listen, he's in office. What we have to do now, we have to present solutions to him that he can get passed to help everyone, right? Because we can't change it. He's going to be in office for the next 4 years. He's talking about lowering the CPI. He says that prices are out of control. He guarantees that he's going to lower the price of insurance. I agree. Insurance is, especially you own multiple properties. You're paying a lot for property insurance. It's out of control. Even car insurance, any type of insurance is through the roof. Trump says he's going to lower all insurance, guaranteed. He says he's going to lower all consumer prices. Inflation's out of control. Inflation's up nearly 3% alone this year. He says he's going to lower all. And I say this all the time, guys. The president that we're under now, they're known for increasing prices on the dollar store. When have you ever seen the prices at the dollar store go up? Are you serious? The prices at the dollar store have gone up from $1 to $1.25. That's a 25% tax on the poor. That is insane. That's crazy. Trump says he's going to lower all prices. Okay, we'll see. He also says that he is going to create, and I don't know if this is rumor or this is true or not. He says he's going to create a division of economic and family management for the urban and black community. He says he wants to improve wealth, home ownership. And we're going to see if these type of programs come for the black and urban community, because look, we need it. We've been struggling in this country for a very long time. We need improvement, because no party, whether it's red or blue, has really looked out for the urban community. It's the neighborhoods, I grew up in, they're still the same. Nothing's changed. And when you talk about the local politics, listen, that money comes from D.C. It's federal money. So at the end of the day, you can vote local, you do whatever you want. But those budget cuts, those grants, all that money comes from D.C. So the real change, whether you like it or not, starts in D.C. So we need people in D.C. that can get those funds to these communities to improve them, because the reality here is there's so much that hasn't changed and needs to change. All right. He's talking about improving the country here that we live in. So he's talking about all this aid that's going to places like Ukraine, these billions of dollars. He's going to cut that out, and he's going to take that money and invest it in the country. We're going to see, guys. We got 4 years of this stuff. I don't know. We'll just have to wait and see. Bones is a supporter. We all know Dana White's a supporter. Jon Jones is undefeated, in my opinion. I don't care about that DQ. He gets a victory, guys. That's right, guys. 13 years fighting. 13 years fighting championship fights, and he is still heavyweight champion of the world. He finishes by knockout. That's right, guys. Unable to continue. Spinning roundhouse kick to to the ribs. Jon Bones Jones is your heavyweight champion. He is your winner here, guys. UFC 309 here in Madison Square Garden. Stipe announces he is going to retire. Bones would say, though, in the post-match interview that Stipe is tough. He's really tough. And, of course, we know he's tough, but he's no match for Jon Jones. What's next? Michael Pereira? That's what Bones wants. He said he wants to set up a super duper fight. He doesn't care if it's a title fight with Michael. And I think he'll beat him as well. I mean, I think, again, Bones is going to be the bigger man. He'll just take him down, rock those elbows. He'll dodge his punches. You know, he might take a little bit of damage, but for the most part, he's just going to just stick and move, slip punches, just defend, take him down, and stop him. Stipe retires. He calls it quits. But let's just take a closer look at how Bones did it. Now, he had the strike advantage, over 60 total strikes landed over Stipe. In terms of these significant strikes, nearly 60 more of those landed. He damaged the head, the ground control from that one takedown in the first round, 3 minutes and 51 seconds. That did the bulk of the damage there, getting up from just being controlled on the ground. And he came into this fight minus 500 favorite. So if you wanted to win $1, you had to bet $5. You knew right away Bones was probably going to destroy. And I saw it as high as a 6-1 favorite as well. He's just too good for Stipe, you know. And again, this is a fight that Jones wanted and called out. So if Jones is calling you out, he sees something there on film that he knows he can exploit. And he did exactly that. For someone being so great like Bones Jones, if he calls you out, he knows he can beat you. But let's just take a look at just some of the victims to fall to Jones since March 2011, right? He beat Rua by knockout. Quentin Jackson next by submission. Machado by submission. Rashad Evans by unanimous decision. Victor Belfort by submission. Chael Sonnen by knockout. Alexander Gustafsson by decision. Glover Teixeira, he's retired, by decision. Daniel Cormier by decision. OSP, who's still fighting, by the way, by decision. Now that no contest against Danielle, come on, guys. Another victory. Gustafsson again. He beat Anthony Smith. That was a good match there. Anthony Smith still fighting. Solid player, right? Thiago Santos by decision. Dominique Reyes, who's just super duper tough, by decision. Cyril Gane, and of course Stipe. Those are all the championship matches that Jon Jones has won here in the UFC, and another one. I'm your host, Good Energy. Like the video, show some love. UFC 309 in the books. Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. Pretty simple fight here. Great weekend of fights. I do think that the Tyson fight versus Jake Paul, that was just a money grab. I saw in no way Mike Tyson even attempt to throw anything with heat on it. Just simple throwing jabs out there. I mean, Paul had Tyson stumbling with his weak legs at one point and just backed up. You know, much like the Woodley fight. I talk about the Woodley, and I used to go to the Paul fights. I stopped going to those fights because I'm like, this is a joke here. When I saw Woodley have Paul rocked against the ropes and he backed up, he could have finished him. He was done. He was dizzy, wobbled, and he backed up. I'm like, yeah, he doesn't want to knock him out. And the reality is, we know Woodley, former UFC great. Woodley said that he is thankful for Paul for getting him out of debt and just giving him that contract to change his life. So I felt that him just being thankful for getting that fight, he's okay with taking the loss. And sure enough, he lost. We'll be back, guys. Have a good weekend. More tennis coverage coming today.